Hello, my name is Robert Burden, and the reason that I started this Menorah Matters YouTube channel is because I've always wanted to have a place where I can put together all of the insights and all of uh, the, the clarifications that I have received about uh, these menorah patterns that really begin in Genesis 1 and go all the way through Revelation 22. And you know, uh, I feel like some of the skills that I've had have helped me to break through some of the obstacles, uh, some of the ambiguities that are found anytime you have two languages. Um, before embarking on a clarifying study of Scripture, um, that is the scriptural menorah patterns in timelines, it's important to understand some obstacles to a proper understanding of Scripture. Um, and for one, we need to understand the cyclical mindset uh, of the Hebrew thinking person, as opposed to the linear Greek Western mindset. For another, we need to understand parametric variations between languages of Scripture and English. The translation of the wall consecutive is another concern that is very important for understanding how the book of Genesis fits into this menorah pattern, right? Or how Genesis chapter 1 and 2 particularly fit into that pattern. We will look here at these three obstacles to understanding the scripture. One, mindset; two, parametric variations; and three, the wall consecutive. Okay. First of all, I want to talk about disambiguating, excuse me, ambiguities, and looking at the mindset. So the Hebrew mindset is cyclical, whereas the Western mindset is linear. The standard example is the way the Hebrew and Western writer would describe a tree. The Hebrew writer would go around the tree to capture the basic details and would then go around a second time to fill in more of the details. However, on the other hand, the Western Greek writer would go past the tree once, just write down the main facts and leave it at that. Um, Hebrew is more about the process, where Greek or Western thinkers is more results oriented. Just give me the bottom line is the way we think. Forget about all the minutiae. And so another thing that we need to look at is the parametric variations between languages, which can be a major obstacle because we all bring our own pronunciation, syntax, and semantic framework to a foreign language. Uh, we have to realize that different languages have different ways to construct pronunciation, word order, and meaning. For example, Hebrew has what linguists call VSO, or verb subject object syntax, whereas Western languages tend to have SVO, or subject verb object syntax. Now, this thing about the while consecutive that I brought up, it may be a foreign term to you that you haven't heard before, but early on, I want to start talking about this, and it's something that's very important to really learn about. Um, the while consecutive is a Hebrew construction whereby the conjunctional prefix wa, or wow, is connected to the imperfect form of a verb, indicating a consecutive action and transforming the imperfect aspect to a simple past meaning. Now, the first usage is too often translated and said. For example, and the Almighty Creator or Elohim said. The problem with and is its ambiguity, in that it may be either considered as contemporaneous or consecutive. Um, if you um, if you say John left and Jan left, uh, they they may have left together, or they may have left one after the other. When you use the word and, you really don't know. Okay, it must be uh, a consecutive action uh, when we use the uh, while consecutive. Uh, Whenever we use the while prefix, uh, which is accompanied by any other vowel and the verb any other tense, it is not consecutive but contemporaneous. So we have to figure out when we have that while, which we want to translate as and, sometimes we need to say and if it's not while consecutive. The word while is what we translate as and. Um, on the other hand, then is a much clearer way to show the consecutive conjunction that we need. Uh, if you say Jane or John left, then Jan left, then you know that it was one right after the other. There's no ambiguity, and so that's uh, I. I had a discussion one time with a friend of mine, Doug Hamp, a really good Facebook friend, that about this concept of the while consecutive, and it's uh, it's something that we really need to understand, and we need to be able to know how to clarify this in order to really understand the very beginning of Scripture. Okay, so we have looked here at three obstacles to understanding the Scriptures. The while consecutive, the parametric variations, and Greek versus Hebrew mindset. We have looked at the translation of while consecutive, which can lead to errors in translation, such as Genesis 1:5. Okay, and I'll bring up that example now. Uh, and the evening and the morning were the first day, which should actually read, then it was evening, then it was morning, day one. You have two while consecutives right in a row. Uh, So this is showing the day goes from dawn to dawn, not from evening to evening. We have also looked into parametric variations between the languages of Hebrew and English, such as the word order of the rudimentary sentence, which is VSO, verb, subject, object, in Hebrew, and SVO, or subject, verb, object, in English. And our tendency is to superimpose the pronunciation and or word order of the native language, our English, um, onto the foreign language, which would be the scriptural Hebrew. Before that, we looked into the cyclical Hebrew mindset versus the linear Greek Western mindset. And we started out by embarking on clarifying some of the obstacles in the study and the proper understanding of scriptural menorah patterns and timelines of Scripture. Now, let me tell you why I feel qualified to really be discussing these kinds of issues. While I was doing my master's degree work in linguistics at CSU Fresno, um, I was the reader of the Hebrew text in a Messianic congregation, B'nai Yeshua. And during that time, I was doing my historical linguistic problems as often as would be allowed uh, in ancient to modern Hebrew. Um, I audited Hebrew courses while I was doing my master's work in linguistics, and I studied privately under a couple, the Morgensterns, who had lived in Israel for 50 years uh, through the congregation B'nai Yeshua, where I was the reader of the Hebrew text. Um, now, while doing my bachelor's degree work in church ministries at Jerry Falwell's Liberty University School of Lifelong Learning, I came across the core scriptural pattern that has really inspired the book that I'm writing. Professor Daniel Mitchell pointed out a pattern in Genesis 1 and 2, which correlates well with the menorah and proliferates throughout the scripture and nature. While doing my associate's degree work in biblical studies at West Coast Bible College, I studied New Testament Greek from both a deductive and inductive approach, making a personal translation of the gospel according to John, 1st, 2nd, 3rd John, Galatians, uh, but discovered later that after I studied for about 4 years New Testament Greek, a little more than four, partly at CSU Fresno and partly at West Coast Bible College. I found that the best evidence that it was originally written in Hebrew, then translated into Aramaic and Greek, actually comes from the Greek text itself. And so at first, when I found that out, I thought all of that worked for nothing. But then, no, I realized it wasn't for nothing. It actually helps in realizing what the kind of the sequence of the languages from which we actually received it. Uh, in fact, John 3:16 is a very good example. If you look at it in Greek, it's Greek words in the New Testament Greek. It has Greek words, but it has Hebrew syntax. And in all of my 15 years of teaching English as a second language, that's one of the things that I've noticed is that native speakers of other languages have a tendency to use their own grammar or their own word order when they are speaking English, they have a tendency uh, to use English words, but they use their own grammar, and so it comes out sounding to us kind of funny, but to them it makes perfect sense. Well, this is the way it is with John 3:16. It says, "Hutos gar agapesen." Agapesen now is the verb, loved. Hutos gar are not keywords. They're just like conjunctive. Uh, but agapesen means loved. Hatheas, that's the Almighty Creator. Um, tan uh, tan kosman, okay, and that's the world. So the way it says it in Greek is for so loved the Almighty Creator the world, okay, and that is verb subject object pattern, which is not Greek because Greek is also verb or subject verb object like English is. So that's kind of a little hint, and it kind of goes into what I'm talking about a little bit more about this whole thing of being able to understand parametric variations between languages and how they do things differently in different languages. Now, while I was doing advanced work in Spanish, French, and German at Clovis High School, uh, I also studied New Testament Greek at the Religious Center associated with CSU Fresno in my junior and senior year of high school. So since there was no set curriculum for Spanish, French, and German there at the end, I was allowed to translate smaller books such as Jude from the foreign language to English and vice versa. I just had independent study, projects. And so that's what I would do. I would just translate, scriptures, uh, from foreign languages to English or English to the foreign language Spanish, French, and German. Okay, so while doing beginning work in Spanish, French, and German at Awani Junior High School, at that time I was the uh, editor of the school newspaper, and um, at that time, I was able to add a foreign language section to the school newspaper. So all of the foreign language students were able to add, write in articles in Spanish, French, or German, and do kind of like, sort of like an interlinear text. You could read both, and that, I really enjoyed that. That was kind of fun. But the reason I add that here is because uh, having an understanding of foreign languages, of studying foreign languages, it has given me a little bit of an advantage, studying these languages so long. I know what the temptation is to want to use your own way of your own mindset when you're trying to translate or you're trying to learn a foreign language, but you just really can't do that and really get to learn the language. You have to kind of put English aside and the way we speak English and the way we write English, and we have to get into the mind of a Spanish speaker, French speaker, German speaker, and then of course when it gets into scripture, the Hebrew speaker. Okay, and so these are just some things I wanted to just show you, what I'm doing here. I'm writing a book, Menorah Matters, and I'm wanting to, give you kind of report to you what my progress is. I've tried to do this before at other times, but I would just, something would happen and I would just put it off, and finally I'm getting to this. So let I let's get this done for a change. Okay, and those of you that would like to look into getting a copy of my book when it is finished, if you could, along the way, if you could let me know that in the comments below, as we're going through the videos, I would appreciate it. And so. Uh, thank you for letting me into your home or onto your phone and for taking this time to uh, watch my video. And, the next time I'll want to go ahead and get started in talking about Genesis 1, the menorah pattern that we find there, and some ambiguities that need to be disambiguated. Um, and so I'm looking forward to next time. And until then, uh, may Yahuwah be with you and guard you. Uh, Yahuwah will make his face to shine upon you and will give favor to you. Yahuwah will make his face to shine upon you and give you peace. In the name of Yahushua, our Messiah.